I recently discovered a fact that blew my mind, that it's possible to 10x your investment by following a simple, low-effort investment strategy. And right now, I have roughly £50,000 invested, which means that I could do nothing at all, and my 50k could very feasibly turn into £500,000. That realization is so wild that I had to share it with you. In this video, I'll show you the real performance of my portfolio so far, the simple maths behind that £500,000 claim, and the co-strategy that means I've stopped worrying about retirement entirely. As always, please note that I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. So I've always tracked my money, but recently I launched my own investment tracker and it's given me so much more clarity around my finances. Seeing everything in one place, my investments, contributions and returns, it changes your mindset. To give you the full picture, my total personal investment portfolio is actually sitting at just over £80,000 right now. That includes my workplace pensions and other pots. However, for the purpose of this video, I want to focus specifically on the £50,000 that is sitting inside my stocks and shares ISAs. I'm focusing on this money specifically because it's all held within that tax-free wrapper, which means I can take it out whenever I want. And even more importantly, any gains or returns this money makes is always going to be completely tax-free. So all that projected growth we spoke about in the intro is going to be tax-free too. Since I started investing through opening my own ISA accounts and selecting my own investments, I've tracked my performance. And over the past 4 years across my ISAs, I have made a 14.2% return per year on average. I am really pleased with that. It's also way higher than it needs to be to hit my end goal, and compared to my pension pots, which are set up by professionals but have only returned roughly 8.8% per year, you can see I'm outperforming my pension by a clear margin just by keeping things simple and following my own investment strategy. This shows you don't need to be an expert to do this. It also leads me to why I'm not worried about losing money in the stock market. There's always someone making noise about a crash that's about to happen. We've seen just recently talk of the AI bubble that's about to burst, leading to a lot of fear in the market. But my investment philosophy is really simple. I don't try to time the market, I don't try to beat the market, and I definitely don't try to pick individual winning stocks. This is because the money I've saved was too hard to come by and I'm simply not willing to risk it on a gamble. I've earned between 18 and 40k per year in annual salary during my 9-to-5s, and so with that it's been hard to build my 50k portfolio. I also don't want to spend my time researching the stock market to try and become an expert in it. So instead, I follow a strategy that I'm extremely comfortable with. I buy the world essentially, and I am going to sit on my investments for decades, which is low effort, passive, cheap, and also the easiest way for everyday people to build their wealth. Let's look at the predictions again. The growth I mentioned is based on the fact that if you get an 8% return on your money every year, you can 10x your investment in 30 years. Don't worry if you don't have that long, by the way. There are ways to speed up the process. For me though, the 30-year time frame is significant. I'm currently 29, so in 30 years I'll be nearing retirement age. My 50k ISA pot could turn into a 500k retirement fund on top of my other pension pots. But where does that confidence come from? Is 8% even realistic? Well, you've seen the performance of my investments so far. That's well above the mark. And I'll be keeping tabs on my portfolio to make sure it stays that way. Also, the FTSE All World Index, which is a global index fund, has a historical performance of roughly 10.12%. Inflation has been about 2.4% over that time, giving a real return of roughly 7%. To explain that out a little bit more, my portfolio could grow by 10% every year, but if during that same time frame the cost of living goes up by, let's say, around 2% per year, then my money has the same buying power as if it had grown by 8% on average. Based on these numbers, you could use 7% if you wanted to be more cautious, but obviously projections are just a guess anyway, and past performance isn't ever going to be a guarantee. That said, here's where it really gets exciting. If I leave the 50k alone, I get 500,000. But if I add just £365 per month from here on out, then that pot hits a cool 1 million. By this, I'm not saying anyone should aim for £1 million. I'm just trying to illustrate how possible and accessible it can be to start building up your wealth if you set your mind to it. Those numbers are crazy and surprisingly doable if you have the time and determination to go for it. Anyway, investing this money has given me a level of freedom that feels unreal at my age. Not only have I stopped worrying about market crashes, I've also pretty much stopped worrying about my retirement. I mention my investments all the time, but my fiance Nick has investments of his own, and together we have built up a portfolio worth over £200,000. Now, to be fully transparent, some of that, about 70k, is in pensions, so when we eventually take it out, some will be taxed, but the majority is in ISAs, which are tax-free. Regardless of the tax split, using the same predicted return of 8% per year, by the time we retire, our combined pot could be worth £2 million. And even if the stock market performs terribly, it's likely to be well over £1 million. So that's an amazing lower bound for us to already have in place, and enough to give us real confidence in our money moves here on out. Essentially, we've kind of got to a point where we're coasting, as we have enough invested right now that if we simply lived off our earnings and never added anything more towards retirement, compound interest alone would grow the pot big enough to fund our retirement. And that's why we can take calculated risks with our lifestyle and income. It's the safety net that meant I could quit my 9-to-5 to start a business, and it's the reason we can try to build a life doing what we love. I know this is a massive privilege, but it also wasn't an accident. It happened because we tracked everything until we found a winning formula. 4 years ago, we were normal people who, beyond our workplace pensions, had no idea about investing. We took this up in 2020 and it's totally changed our lives because it let us use our savings to set all of this in motion. If you want to get this same level of clarity on your numbers, the investment tracker I showed in this video is available right now. It's currently still at its launch price and I've linked it in the description below. It's the exact tool I use to calculate these returns and keep my eyes on the prize. If you have any specific requests for upcoming videos, drop a comment below. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.